fastest way to get cash buyers in 2024 without using property portals? What's going on, real estate family? My name is Wandile Mr. W. I work very closely with real estate agents, helping them get more sellers and buyers utilizing AI and technology marketing. So let's just jump straight into it, guys. What is the core issue we're experiencing right now? Well, we are in an economic slump, all right, where you have sellers that are desperate to sell and you've got buyers that are far and few in between. Now, my biggest problem is that I'm seeing many agents are just resorting to property portals, and unfortunately, that is not going to get you consistency and speed when it comes to finding cash buyers. Will you get cash buyers? Absolutely. But for the vast majority of agents, it's just not working the way that it should be. So if you're looking for a better way to get cash buyers and you want to find a faster, more effective way to literally start moving off the stock off your shelves, then watch with me very closely. Let's go over to my laptop and I'll walk you through how it's done. All right, let's get straight into the meat and potatoes in terms of having to find cash buyers. Now, guys, I'm going to walk you through two strategies. All right, typically one that most agents go through, and then the other one which only 1% of agents go through. Now, I do need to make this disclaimer. Guys, there's no one size fits all. There's no miracle work here. There's no pulling a rabbit out of the hat strategy here, okay? There's literally, it's very simple, guys. Business is very simple. It's just that most agents don't really understand this, and the how do I say it? It's the logical aspect side of this. All right. One strategy is focused on hoping and is focused on total reliance on a particular portal or platform. All right. And then the other strategy is more focused on predictability. It's more focused on controlled exposure, is more focused on automation, and is more focused on reliability in terms of getting results and also creating the right patterns and methods to consistently get those results. That's the difference between the two. And I just want you guys to see from my own perspective, and also to help you guys really get a bird's eye level overview in terms of why portals are not the best way to always find cash buyers. It's not to say that they don't work. I think they do work. I think they're absolutely perfect. But I'm also going to discuss the ramifications if you are working exclusively with portals versus utilizing another strategy. So first things first, guys, 99% of agents, I think we can all agree here, majority of them utilize portals. P24, private property, etc., right? And I understand that's the old age tradition of doing things. It makes a lot of sense. You know, if someone's looking to buy a house, what they're going to do, they're going to P24, they'll go private property, they'll go to Emo Africa. There's tons of different portals, okay? So it definitely makes a lot of sense, right? But what is the problem with portals? The problem now with portals is that it is the only source of leads that most agents or majority of agents essentially will get when it comes to their listings. Now, I am not discrediting other strategies. Of course, the people who post their listings on Marketplace, people who post their listings on social media, like TikTok and Facebook and Instagram. There's people who do videos on YouTube and putting on their website. Don't get me wrong, there are those other different strategies, okay? But if we're being 100% honest here, 99% of agents focus mainly on portals, okay? And the problem now with portals is that you are now at the mercy of the portal. So what do I mean by that? You don't own the portal, you don't control the portal. Okay, so because you don't own or control the portal, you are now at the mercy of this particular portal. So if the portal decides, hey, we want people to start spending money on their listings in order for them to get the actual traffic, in order for them to get the real quality leads, then there's nothing you can do in order for you to get closer to the cash buyer, purely because now they're making it significantly harder for you to get a cash buyer or someone who's looking to finance, because now they have the control. These portals have the monopoly. They control everything. That's the one aspect. The other aspect is that, okay, even if now you're paying these portals for you to be maybe front row or for you to be at the top of the listing line when people are searching for a particular area, they're going to charge an exaggerated amount because they know that you have no other option but them, okay? And then another thing is that these portals don't have any predictability. So what do I mean by predictability? Predictability is that you can't tell me that tomorrow I'm going to get 5,000 views on my listing. You can't. You have to wait, or you have to beg, pray, cross your fingers and hope that you're going to get 5,000 views on your listing, okay, on the portal. And that's what makes it more difficult. And what makes it even more challenging is that if you have an open mandate, now it's a matter of gambling, because now if there's 7 different agencies who also have access to that mandate, you literally have now a 7th of a chance of you getting those views. So portals just make it harder and harder and harder for you to get that cash buyer. All right. So what is the typical process? We obviously have the portals. And then what happens is that if someone's interested in the property, what they do, they will click on it, they go browse. And then if they want to contact you, they will have to inquire, provide the information, right? Now, let's say that they do inquire, 100%, great. Now you get that inquiry from the portal. So you just get their name and I think it's their name and the email address or name and phone number, if I'm not mistaken. And then there's a mini message that they would have to put out and write. Okay. Now, what you would then have to do, you'd have to now call them and essentially see whether this person is qualified or not, right? Whether this person is serious to be either a cash buyer or someone who's looking to finance, or if this is someone who's just browsing and someone who's not necessarily serious. Okay. Now, the thing about this entire process, and this is what I don't like about this process, is that you are relying, again, as I've mentioned, on the mercy of the portals. So let's say, for example, give me an idea. Let me show you guys. Let's say for your listing, right, in 5 days, you get 300 views. Okay. And then from those 300 views, those who inquired, all right, let's say there was about 10% of them inquired. So you've got 50 inquiries. Okay. And then obviously the rest that didn't inquire, you have 285 lost potential leads. If my math is correct, forgive me guys. Let's just quickly check here. Yeah, 285. All right. So this is the issue I have, because you'll be able to see that you got 300 views today, but of those 300, only 15 people inquired. But what about the other 285? Well, unfortunately, because they didn't inquire, you don't have the information, you don't know who they are, and it just makes it a lot harder or difficult for you. All right. So now you have to only deal with these 15 inquiries. Now, of course, I don't know what those numbers could look like in terms of you getting the cash buyer, but now can you see you're now at the mercy of relying on these 15 inquiries to turn into either cash buyer or into finance. And I've noticed that majority of the times, 15 of these inquiries were either going to give you the runarounds, maybe they just want to do a viewing, maybe when you ask them for their information to qualify them, like bank statements, or whether it's pay slips, or whether it's credit report, that's where typically people start to run away, okay, because it's normal. That's typically what most people would do. So in actual fact, we don't even know how many people could actually turn to a cash buyer, someone who's looking to finance, or how many of them are actually going to be discredited, right? That's the issue that I have with portals, is that you are not at the mercy of their entire process, because their process is they need to go to your listing, and then after looking at your listing, if they're keen, they would inquire by providing the information, and that is it. So you will not have access to these people, these 300 views. You're not going to have access to these 285 potential leads. Maybe there could have been someone here who was more interested, who was maybe interested but maybe got distracted, or maybe they didn't see what they liked, or we don't know. But the problem is you're always going to have that what if, and that's my issue with portals. It's not predictable, it's not reliable, and now you're depending on these portals. Now, what if, as I said, these portals decided that, hey, you know what, we're actually gonna, if you want to get, for example, 1,000 views every day on your listings, you now have to pay us 5,000 Rand, for example. All right, so now what's going to happen is that they're going to significantly make sure that you get less views in order for you to pay the portal to get 1,000 views. But even if you do get 1,000 views, there's still no guarantee that you're going to get this cash buyer. Can you see how you just, in the end, you're just really stuck? Because it's like, what do I do? Which I totally understand. And hence why I was saying that I would rather prefer to focus on this method, which I'm going to cover now, the traction system, because it's a little bit more predictable and it's the total opposite of portals. And as I've mentioned, it's not to say that this doesn't work, guys. Portals do work. There's many clients that I work with that still use portals, all right, as a supplementary traffic method in order for them to get buyers. but it's not something that they rely on fully. Because if they only just rely on that, then they're in trouble, purely because if you're only going to get 15 inquiries a week or a day or a month, that's not enough in order for you to find a cash buyer. Cash buyers, guys, also remember that they are very few and far in between. Okay, it's very rare to find people that already have cash ready. So if you want to find someone that's ultra rare, like a cash buyer, and you're only getting 15 inquiries a week or a month or a day, that is not enough for you to get a cash buyer. You would at least need to get about 100 inquiries, at least in a space of a week or so, all right, consistently all the time, in order for you to find 1 or 2 or even 3 quality cash buyers. And of course, you're going to get some people who are going to be financing. So let's walk through what the typical top 1% of agents do. So first things first, the top 1% of agents utilize an attraction system. And the attraction system could be as simple as running AI advertising and utilizing an AI robot to go and find people that are already looking for property, all right, or people that are looking to finance a property. But because we're speaking about cash buyers, I focus a bit more on cash buyers. So the beauty around having an attraction system is that you have the control, which I really love about it. So what do I mean by you have the control? Well, you can control how many people will see your particular listing, okay? So if you, for example, want 10,000 people to view your listing, you have that control. All right, you can then prompt the system to get you 10,000 views. And on top of that, you can even tell the system, hey, I want you to run my listing ads to homeowners that live in this area, in this area, in this area, in this area. So let's say, for example, you've got a listing in Sandhurst, Sandton, right? That's literally where the top 1% of the top 1% stay. So if you want to find a cash buyer to buy property in Sandhurst, then you want to be targeting the top 1% of the top 1% estates in Johannesburg or even South Africa. So you want to be targeting all the top 1% of the top 1% areas. And you can do that. And you can even tell the system, okay, I want to get at least 5,000 views of the top 1% of the top 1% to view my listings, for example. All right, so that's the one thing I really like about the attraction system, which brings in predictability. Because as I said, it's also about numbers. If you know you can get 10,000 views every single day on your system or on your listings, there's a very high chance. Okay, there's a very high chance you're going to get closer to the cash buyer. Now, it's not just exposure with random people, but it's exposure of the right people. So the beauty also around having an attraction system is that you can tell this attraction system, I only want people from the ages of 50 plus to see my ads, and they need to be male and female. They need to live in these particular estates. Okay, and then it's going to only run particular ads to those people, and on top of that, people who are already probably looking for property. That is the beauty around having an attraction system, because if you have that already ticked off, it makes it a lot easier compared to the property portals where you're at the mercy of waiting for views, waiting for exposure. We have no time to wait for exposure. Your sellers want to sell their house. So how do we do that? By utilizing AI and utilizing an attraction system to run targeted ads for those listings to the right people so that there's enough exposure. The reason why, guys, you're not getting cash buyers or people who are looking to finance, but in this regard, cash buyers, is because these cash buyers are not aware. They're not aware of your listing, right? Maybe, let's say, for example, they are going on portals. Guys, if you go and search for a property in, let's say, Sandton City, let's say you're looking for a 2-bedroom apartment, right? And you cash buyer. Guys, there's so many apartments. How do you know which one to select? Okay, it just makes it so hard and so difficult because now they feel like a kid in a candy store. They don't know what to select. And a confused mind doesn't buy. So because there's so much selection, because there's so much options, they don't know which one to select. And now it's a case of gambling. But the beauty around an attraction system is that whenever they're on Facebook or Instagram, YouTube, or even Google, for example, all right, they will only see your listing and your listing only. Hence why I like that better, because now you're not competing with hundreds of other people. You're essentially just getting their attention immediately, which means that they can fully focus on your listing, fully focus on what the listing provides, etc., etc. All right, which makes it more perfect in that regard, because it's also the people who have been looking at property, for example. Now, the nice thing I like about having an attraction system, full-on system, is that if you have a landing page, for example, which is going to qualify them, because the whole purpose of a landing page is we want to find out in terms of, all right, for example, what type of property are they looking for? Okay, and what is their budget? Would this be a cash purchase? Do they want to finance? We want to ask them basic and simple questions so that we can make their process easier. So the whole purpose of the landing page is to explain that, look, we're happy to give you a list of different properties that we have right now, which could suit your needs, whether it's for investment or for family or for professional side. But we need to get a little bit of an idea in terms of what you're looking for so we can help you. That's the whole purpose of a landing page. So now, once they go through that landing page and they fill out all the information, the whole purpose here is to see who exactly is qualified. So the nice thing about having a landing page is that it's going to report back to you and tell you, hey, okay, look, out of, let's say, for example, 1,000 leads that have filled out their information, right? So let's say there's 1,000 leads in that form particular, then it would tell you, okay, from those 1,000 leads, we've got about a solid 120 people that are qualified, right? This could be qualified either from a cash perspective or from a finance perspective, all right? So if they are, let's say, qualified, now you know, okay, cool, you will essentially get the information. So it's going to show you, John, this is where he stays, he's earning 2 million a month, he has access to his credit score, he's already been pre-approved, he's looking for a property like this, 4-bedroom, etc., 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 and he's looking to finance, or he's looking to buy cash. All right. So you'll be able to have all that information prior, and then you can essentially just call, confirm, and verify information before you go forward with your process to do the viewings. Okay, but let's say, for example, that they're not qualified. Let's say, for example, you do get people who fill out the information, but let's say it's not a cash buyer, or let's say they cannot afford specifically properties that you have right now in your arsenal, right? The mandates that you have, for example. It's still okay. You still want to get on a call with them, because at least now you've got context and information in terms of where they're at. What if they cannot afford a 20 million rand house, but they can afford a 5 million rand house? What if they can't afford a 5 million rand house, but they can afford a 2 million rand house? If they have the documentation and they pre-qualified, they're ready to go, then maybe it's just the finances, or maybe it's just the criteria that they cannot qualify for. They are still good, because you can still essentially put them into your database, put them into your CRM, and help them find a property and still make money regardless. So that's the beauty around the attraction system and having a landing page, is that regardless, you're still winning here, because even if they don't qualify to be a cash buyer, okay, if they qualify to be a finance, so if they're going to finance it, perfect. And now you have an idea in terms of what they want, and that's the purpose here. Okay, so if we had to look at it from this perspective, if they qualify, you want to call them, do what you need to do, all right, for you to get that cash buyer. Okay, go through your process. But if, let's say, they went to a landing page and they don't qualify, you still want to have a conversation with them, because now at least you've got context in terms of what they're looking for. Now you have that conversation, you realize, okay, you know what, actually, yeah, okay, everything checks out. Yes, you may not be able to afford a 5 million rand property cash, but the bank has approved you for a 3.5 million rand house on finance. You're still getting to the cash anyway, okay? Purely because the landing page helped provide context for you to actually see, all right, where this person is at. And let's say, for example, okay, cool, they don't qualify for anything. Okay, and you're going to get leads that, it happens, guys. I'm not going to discredit that. Let's say you don't get leads like that. It's okay, guys. Still get on a call with them. Figure out where they're at. 9 times out of 10, guys, every lead is going to be a buyer eventually. I don't care if this lead is a student. I don't care if this lead is 16 years old. I don't care if this lead is 21 years old and they have a job at McDonald's. I don't care if this lead is 25 years old and he just got unemployed and he's got nothing. Eventually, they will buy a house. The question is, who are they going to buy the house from? Are they going to buy it from you, someone who is nurturing them on autopilot, utilizing AI to stay top of mind and to give them value? Or are you just going to discredit them like most agents, okay? And then by the time that they're ready to buy, they're going to go with someone else, okay? You don't want that. You want to nurture your leads. It's very important to nurture your leads, because if you can nurture your leads, it makes the process a lot easier, quicker, and better, because if you're thinking long-term, which every agent should, that is the best way for you to close, okay? Once you're nurturing those people, guys, every lead is going to be a buyer some way, somehow, okay? For me right now, I don't see the purpose of buying a house. That's why I'm renting for flexibility. But I am going to buy eventually. Might not be now, but I am going to buy eventually. And the agent who I have a good relationship will eventually get my money, okay? May not be now, but they'll eventually get my money if they play their cards right, okay? And the whole purpose here is that once you have these 3 types of leads, right? The cash buyer, the one who's financing, and those who are not ready yet, but they need to nurture, you essentially want to build a segmented database, right? So you want to have a database of people who are cash buyers, people who are financing, and people who are not ready yet. And then once you've created that segmented database, you essentially want to create the right automations, all right, for people who are either looking to finance in the next 6 months or 3 months, and people who are also looking to buy, but not right now. Because once you can do that, these people will eventually turn also into a cash buyer, okay? Or these people here would also turn into a cash buyer. Guys, someone could play the lotto and win money, all right? Someone could start a business and in a year, they do very well. Do not discredit people who are not qualified immediately, right? That's just a stupid thing to do. I hate it when agents think that way because you guys are really not thinking about the long term. That's the whole purpose of this. So in order for you guys to find cash buyers, it is very easy, but you need to have a system that's going to help you get enough exposure to the right people, then a system that's going to qualify these people as soon as possible, all right? So that all the people that are qualified, you know exactly who you need to call, verify in order for you to get to the cash buyer, okay? But if you also want to get to the cash a lot faster, you will still utilize that information and then call the people who may not be cash buyers, but may be looking at financing, and then essentially nurturing people who aren't qualified as yet. Whereas if we have to be honest and looking at the 99% of agents who are utilizing portals, the problem is unless they have inquired, you're in trouble. And on top of that, even if they do inquire and you call them, it's going to be now very difficult and want to get hold of every lead. And on top of that, you don't even have the information, like their credit score, if they are already pre-qualified, etc., etc. You don't have that information. So now you essentially have to call them, which is they're going to drop the numbers, okay? And then some of you guys are very aggressive over the phone, which means that they're not going to give you their full information, which means that you're just drastically dropping down these numbers. So the point I'm trying to make here, guys, is that you can get cash buyers on both sides. You can get cash buyers on portals, you can get cash buyers utilizing an attraction system. The difference is how quickly you can get to the cash buyer. And the problem with portals is that you're relying on traffic, it's not predictable, and on top of that, there's no processes in place to actually qualify and see if whether that person's ready or not. Whereas when it comes to an attraction system, if you want to find a cash buyer tomorrow, you can if you get the right, if you essentially want the right exposure. If you are going to get 100,000 people who earn 5 million rand a month to view your one listing, that's about 20 million bucks, you're going to get a cash buyer. But then if you're only going to get 400 people of those people, for example, to look at your listing by chance because there's other different open mandates. And then, for example, you lost about 285 of them because they were busy. And you only managed to get hold of 7 because everyone else is busy. They don't have time to contact you. How soon is it going to get you to get to that cash buyer? It's going to take a little bit longer. So the whole purpose here is really just to open your mind and perspective in terms of portals, yes, are great, but they take up too much time to find cash buyers. Whereas if you have an attraction system, you can literally supercharge and time travel as soon as possible in order for you to get to this cash buyer with predictability. And that's the goal here. Anyways, if you got a lot of value in this video, please feel free to like, share, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you guys next week. Take care.